When I started to play STALKER, Shadow of Chernobyl, I was expecting something similar to Fallout. A world filled with freedom, exploration and a post-apocalyptic vibe. But what I got was something else. I had decided at the very beginning that I'm not going to compare this game to Fallout 3 for two reasons. First of all, Fallout 3 has been released 1.5 years later after the first STALKER game. Second, I wanted to experience this game just as it is, and not to compare to anything else, especially to Fallout, which is one of my favorite franchises. Because this constant comparison would ruin the experience and would give a false image of the game. And after playing STALKER, Shadow of Chernobyl, I had to say I'm a bit disappointed. But why? The game is bad? Or it is just not that as was I expecting? And the most important question is, this cult classic is still worth your time? And now, grab your anti-radiation suit, because I'm going to take you into the zone. Welcome my fellow gamers out there, my name is Mr. Zosta, and on my channel we celebrate the golden era of gaming. STALKER Shadow of Chernobyl was released in 2007 by Ukrainian developer GSC Game World after a notoriously long development cycle. It was originally announced in 2001 and promised an open-world survival FPS with RPG elements, something almost unheard of that time. The game is set in an alternate reality inspired by the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster, drawing heavy influence from the sci-fi novel Roadside Picnic and the movie STALKER by Andrei Tarkovsky. What made this game stand out was its A-Life AI system, which dynamically controlled NPC behavior, making the world feel alive. With all this ambition, it's no surprise that STALKER became a cult classic. But for me, that's where things started to diverge from what I expected. This game is a bit modern compared to most of the games that I cover on my channel, but STALKER has been released nearly 20 years ago in 2007, 18 years ago to be precise. So I'm not consider this game as a modern, it is from a different era. The reason why I played it because I love post-apocalyptic stuff, abandoned places, open world games and RPGs. So if you combine all these, STALKER should be a perfect combination for everything I wanted. The idea of exploring every bit of the zone, down to NPCs, side quests, fighting all sounded very good to me. And I was also obsessed with the Chernobyl accident back in the early 2000s. I read a lot of books, gathered information from the internet, which was a completely different base back then. My very first impression with the game was the late 2000 vibes. It's just all over the place. What I liked straight away was the atmosphere. I could not really describe it. Maybe depressing and lawless was the perfect description. The rain, the campfires, the strange noises all around me. I had to say it is very good. It was a completely different experience from the Fallout universe. No, I'm not comparing them, I'm just making a note here. What I quickly realized is that the game is not going to be what I expected. After I received my first quest, I was in a fight for most of the time, and there were little downtime when I could enjoy the sights of the zone. Whenever I wanted to go for a quiet exploration, something attacked me straight away. This is going to be a spoiler-free section, so feel free to keep watching if you have not played the game yet. So after the interesting intro, I did not really know what is happening for a while, who I am, what I'm doing in the zone, but this was part of the story, so I did not really mind that. I did not make any research about the game before I started to play, so everything was new for me. And as it turned out, the events in the zone are completely different from the real world events. I love alternate history stories, so I did not mind this. But let's see what you can expect from the story. As I mentioned, the game takes place in an alternate reality, where a second explosion occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 2006. This catastrophe caused strange phenomena and created the Zone, a dangerous, heavily quarantined area filled with mutants, deadly anomalies, and valuable artifacts. You play as a character known only as the Marked One, who wakes up with no memory of their past. Armed with a PDA and a cryptic message, you set out to uncover your identity and complete your mysterious mission. Along the way, you navigate dangerous environments, encounter factions with conflicting goals, and uncover secrets hidden deep within the zone. And as you go deeper into the zone, the more disturbing and more interesting things you will find. As I mentioned earlier, I was, and I'm still interested in the real-life accident what happened in 1986. So for me, the idea of the zone itself was the most interesting aspect of the game. The developers put a lot of effort to map the zone and create it as accurate as possible. However, some things had to be changed in the development. I have to say that the environment in the game is fantastic. The buildings, the vehicles, and the environment is very cool. The abandoned factories, military bases, creepy underground laboratories are all fun to explore. Everything has a post-Soviet Eastern European vibe. The developers put a lot of effort into the details, and I was really impressed by this. Walking through the zone is a very special experience. The constantly changing weather, the day and night cycles, and the sound of the nature around you matched with the cracking sound of your Geiger counter is very good. Before I started to play Stalker, I wouldn't have thought that combat played with the biggest role in the game. I was in combat more often than not, and this was the part when I had to realize that I had the wrong expectation with the game. This is not quite exploration in a dead zone, this is constant fighting. I had to change my mindset and adapt to this, and I started to enjoy the game, because the combat is good. I'm not a professional FPS player, never really played online any COD or similar games, I probably would be very bad, but here the enemies are clever. They are hiding behind covers, retreating, so the combat is good. However, it happened a few times that the enemies are made dumb things, like just standing around when I bumped into them, but these were rare. So prepare for a lot of intense tactical fighting in the zone. This is not Doom, where you rip and tear through everything. Here, you have to plan how you move, where is the next cover, where you can hide behind. In Stalker, you can find and buy a lot of stuff. Different weapons, armor, ammo, food and medicine. Weapons-wise, you are going to use Eastern European weapons, and there will be no supernatural or super weapons in the game, or at least I have not found any. You can attach scopes to the rifles. You have a few customization options too, but do not expect weapon skins or anything like that. When you search the enemies, you can find information in their PDAs, which indicates where you can find a hidden stash in the zone. These are worth to open, as you can find better gear for free. There are RPG elements in Stalker, however, it is a different kind of experience. What would you expect? You're not gaining experience points, there are no level ups, no abilities or anything. I know what you're thinking now, so where are the RPG elements in the game? Despite what I mentioned, there is still a way to modify your character attributes. When you find artifacts in the zone, you can equip them, and these are giving you bonuses. However, each of them are also reducing one of your attributes. For example, you receive less radiation damage, but your endurance will be lower, meaning you cannot run as long and cannot carry as much gear with you. You can equip 5 different artifacts, but your armor needs to have to be open belt slots. You will also need artifact application devices to negate the radiation that most artifacts emit, otherwise you will quickly turn into a walking X-ray machine. The other main RPG element in the game is the conversation with other stalkers and various people in the zone. The conversations are linear, there are no different options to reply apart from a yes or no. You can ask various things from the people you meet, so there's an option to gather information and do side quests as well. You have also an open option to join various factions in the game and work for them. Oh, this was nasty, but he was an enemy, I swear. And now, let's see what are those things that I enjoyed in Stalker. First of all, the atmosphere. It is very good. The day and night cycles, the changing weather, the sounds and the environment is a very good experience. Just look at these trees as I'm walking through here now. The combat is also very good. The enemies are clever, which is very important, as if they would act like the enemies in Medal of Honor Frontline, this would be a huge negative trait of the game. The lore and story will pull you into the world, especially if you love the Chernobyl setting. The story is a heavy sci-fi themed one, but honestly, what would you expect in the zone? And also there is a good weapon variety and a lot of hidden things to find in the zone. So if you love exploration, there's going to be a bonus point for you. So after all those good things what I said about the game, what are those what I not really liked? So first of all, there is no fast travel option. At the early missions there was a lot of back and forth moving between areas and it was a bit frustrating, but later in the game this was not a constant issue as I constantly moved northward in the zone, so the lack of fast travel was not an issue. However, it would definitely help sometimes. We can argue that the fast travel is not realistic at all, but I like to use this option in many open world games. And the exploration feels limited compared to more open-ended games like Fallout. Yes, I just made a comparison between Stalker and Fallout. And also the combat can become repetitive, and the difficulty spikes might frustrate you sometimes. It did frustrate me quite a few times when I was stuck in an area as I was overwhelmed with enemies. And also some mechanics like inventory management and the interface feels a bit clunky by modern standards. However, this was not a big issue for me, but it had to be mentioned. So, the main question of the video: should you play Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl today? Well, in the end, it is not a bad game, far from it. I enjoyed my time with it, and I will play the later entries in the game as well. It is a unique blend of survival horror, FPS, and RPG with a great atmosphere. But if, like me, you are expecting a Fallout-style experience with free exploration, you might be a bit disappointed. That said, if you're looking for a tense and atmospheric game with a focus on survival and combat, you will enjoy your time in the zone. As for me, while I appreciate what this game achieved, it didn't quite live up to my expectations I had built up in my head. And so, have you played Stalker? Did it live up to your expectations, or were you hoping for something different? Is there anything important that I missed in my review? Just let me know in the comments below, please. If retro gaming brings back great memories for you, why not subscribe and join our community of fans keeping the classics alive? Also, the YouTube algorithm thinks you love the videos on the screen, so go ahead and check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Backlog Quest video.